Hello, welcome to this video where I intend to walk you through running the third Spelljammer Academy freebie, Realmspace Sortie. I've done the previous two, so if you need to look at those, please check it out. Otherwise, let's just get down to business, right? So, we're picking up from where we left the last mission. We have the usual introduction and get to the background of the mission. As basic training at Spelljammer Academy comes to its conclusion, the characters are required to complete their first mission aboard a spelljamming ship. As luck would have it, orders have come down from them to embark on a retrieval mission, just like in the test one earlier. While confidence in the cadets' abilities is high, the recent discovery of a spy in their midst has the Academy's faculty on high alert. For this reason, a member of staff is coming along to supervise and make sure nothing prevents the character recruits from completing their mission. That staff member is Petty Officer Winston Reback. The spy is a recruit named Mikan Havastance, which we met just last episode, and seems so shy and lacking confidence, and it turns out he's just a great actor. He waits for the opportune moment in the adventure to strike. Until that time, he acts no differently than any other recruit. So, play him as shy, play him as unassuming, and let's give these other players a fright later on. We don't need to look at the overview to run this. Now look at this wonderful picture. This is where beholders, who I'll try and put a picture on screen, they shoot eye rays and they have tunnelled into this planet meteorite and just created this beautiful place. So, in this adventure, the characters are given their first assignment, retrieving a meteorite of precious adamantine from Hakatha, a distant disc-shaped world. The characters have undergone training exercises, have been charged with commandeering a vacant Tyrant Ship for their first real mission, and others are hired as well. So, do we jump to the end right now? Let's jump to the Realmspace map that I discovered. This is where you're going, over to Hakatha. And this is how long it takes to get around Realmspace. And there's a little bit of description about all the different planets and how long it takes to get there. But let's jump back. Okay. Read or paraphrase the following to start your adventure. The day began early at Four Bells as you were awakened by Bosun Tarto in a most discourteous fashion. Dodging thrown garbage cans, you geared up, ate a hasty breakfast, and were immediately commanded to the deck of a hammerhead ship called the Flighty Foundling. As soon as you board the ship, it rises into the air toward Wildspace. An adamantine meteor has struck the spire on Hakatha, says Tarto, and you lot are going to recover it. The bad news is that Hakatha is populated solely by beholders and their kin. The good news is that an empty Tyrant Ship drifts above Toril, waiting for you to crew it. Though you'll need to install a spelljamming helm on the command deck to make the ship fly. Travelling aboard this beholder vessel, you should be able to reach the spire without attracting the unwanted attention of other Tyrant ships patrolling Hakathan space. We'll drop you off with Petty Officer Winston Reback, who will ensure you don't go hungry. He's the hippo person we met last time. He'll command the deckhands Mikan Havastance, Cree, Lit, and Fred. You'll need to identify who among you is in command of the mission, as well as who commands the ship. A word of warning, the Tyrant Ship is made of stone, so don't try to land it in water. You'll sink like a rock. So to correct myself, that picture isn't a planet, it's the ship. Actually a beholder ship, which beholders flew into and is now empty. The Flighty Foundling docks alongside the Tyrant Ship, which looks like a gigantic stone-carved beholder floating in orbit above Toril. You've dropped unceremoniously into the Titan's ship's cargo deck along with a crate of supplies, a navigational map, a shiny new Spelljammer helm, which I'm picturing as a crystal. Petty Officer Ryback Rebec pulls up the rear wearing a backpack laden with cooking implements. Pots clang and clatter as he turns and waves goodbye to the flighty foundling, which has already set a course back to the academy. So, loads of beholders, which are lethal to characters at this level. That is a scary proposition, but that's why they've put you flying into an empty one. We even have a map of the Tyrant Ship here. Now, yeah, it's important to notice that they have their eye rays, they tunnel, and also beholders hover, so they don't need to have understandable staircases, ladders. They just burrow at any angle like worms go through mud, which is going to make the characters have to tunnel and access vertical, and that's why you're given a bit of help with that. So inside, the chambers are 20 feet high. Since the entire ship was constructed using disintegration rays, the surfaces of the floors, walls and ceiling are smooth and featureless. Climbing a vertical surface is difficult without climbing gear or magic, requiring a DC 25 athletics check. Wow. The only light is what the characters bring with them. The gravity plane for this Tyrant ship runs midway through its rough spherical mass. That means that where you're standing in any given room can change depending on which deck you happen to be on. For example, the floor of the holodeck is the bowl-shaped surface nearest the command deck. I had to get my head around this. For one minute I was thinking, is it like a column that goes through the ship? Or are they talking about how it tunnels upwards and downwards, and so wherever you stand, the gravity pulls? I'm not sure that I fully understand it now as I'm trying to describe it. There's an opposite gravity from upper deck. So the upper deck is... upper decks, or the upper decks? Command deck, that's understandable. Hollow deck, the cargo deck. I think what it means is that right in the centre of the sphere, that's just like Earth. Wherever you stand on the Earth, you pull to the middle. If someone understands that, can you comment and explain it in there so we can all understand it? Or you just treat it as it's pulling to the centre, so you need to stand on this side when you're on that side of the ship, and this side on there, and this side and upside down? Something like that. I'll probably go with that. Sorry I can't help you there. So, Petty Officer, Hippo Dude, Rebec, takes command of Micken, Cricklit and Fred. Now I wanted to mention Fred. I would probably just call him Red or Fred, because that's just an annoying D&D name. Puts them to work unpacking gear. See the equipment list in a second. Taking inventory and setting up a makeshift galley in one of the cargo deck's chambers. Basically the NPCs are busy, so you can not have to control them walking around. Rebec keeps a weather eye, I don't know what that means, on the characters and serves mostly in an advisory role throughout this mission. Feel free to use him to provide hints and guidance. If the characters get into a fight, he can come in and use his gun, or his musket at range, or his long sword attacks are made with a giant cleaver because he's a cook. I think I'd like to use him in a fight, he seems pretty cool. So what they are bringing on from the flighty foundling to the Tyrant ship: climber's kit, which has used to anchor yourself because you need to go rock climbing. Hammers to hammer the pitons in, the spikes, 100 pitons. 5 100-foot lengths of rope. 2 mess kits, cooking pan, simple cutlery, eating appliances, portable cooking surface. These are all because of the cook. 2 barrels of water, flasks of cooking oil. It's all his. 5 lanterns with continual flame spell. Pre-cut firewood. 10 potions of healing. Remember that. And sending stone. That is the walkie-talkie back to Bosun Tato off of this ship. Those last 2 are the only ones you need to remember. Installing the Helm. We've never had the Helm described to us, but I'm saying it's a crystal. Rebecca instructs the characters to place this crystal on the Tyrant Ship commander's deck, even though the Helm can function anywhere on the ship. Getting the Helm to the commander deck will take a bit of work, given that the Tyrant Ship access shafts are designed for hovering beholders. Characters can use climbing kits, pitons and ropes to create an anchored rope ladder that allows them to easily traverse an access shaft. Assuming they follow this course of action, no ability checks are required to climb the shaft. Simply takes time and effort. Roll 2d4 plus 2 to determine how many hours it takes. Wow, that's dull. Halve the time if the characters devise a clever way to accomplish the work more quickly. Yeah, I just say some time passes and you manage to do it. Regardless of how the characters get into the spelljamming helm to get to the helm to the command deck, a nefarious trap awaits upon their arrival by this scallywag right here. Get out of it. Spin cycle trap. The first time a creature enters any of the command deck chambers, a track activates, causing the ship to spin end over end like a washing machine. Each character rolls initiative. Effect. On initiative count 20, every character must make a DC 15 dex saving throw. On a fail, the character will take average of 7, or you can roll 2d6 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone. Prone knocks them out of their hands and feet. The thing about prone here, oh, it doesn't actually say. Hey, I'm sure prone used to say that you had to move, you had to lose half of your movement to stand up. And that seems to have gone, unless I'm remembering prone wrong. But we always say in my group that to go to stand up, you only lose 5 foot of your movement. You know, if you can move 100 foot in a turn, why would you have to lose 50 foot's worth of time of movement just to stand up? Anyway, I wonder if that's a little tweak. Here it says your only option is to crawl unless you stand up, and thereby ends you being on all fours, obviously. The creature has disadvantage on attacking things because you're on all fours. An attack roll against the creature, if within 5 foot, has advantage. Otherwise, if you're far or further away than a creature prone, they're a smaller target. So you've got to remember to do disadvantage against a prone creature from afar, which I never do. Countermeasures. Let's look at what the characters might do. They might try and brace themselves, hold on. As an action, a character can make a DC 15 strength to brace themselves on something. If it's a fail, no benefit is gained and the action is wasted. You're going to take the damage. If the check is successful, the character has advantage on their next saving throw against the trap and takes no damage if successful next time. They take damage this time, they won't next time. If they have, they get advantage on the dex save and then they won't take any damage next time. Deactivate the trap itself. You can fiddle about with arcane controls embedded in the walls, pressing buttons, hoping for a good result. In this case, the character rolls a d10. On a 10 only, the trap deactivates. Or the character can use an action to study the controls with an Arcana Intelligence 20. If the check is successful, the character actually figures it out and turns off. You can use their next action, because doing the Arcana check was an action, so their next turn, their action is the automatic success of overcoming the device trap. Magic. A character who can hover is unaffected by this trap, so long as no hard surfaces are in the character's space. Yeah, just say it doesn't get affected. A character who is under the effect of a Featherfall spell can be knocked prone by the trap but takes no damage. Featherfall. Choose up to 5 willing creatures, your friends. A failing creature, a falling creature, rate of descent slows to 60 foot per round until the spell ends. If the creature lands before the spell ends, it takes no damage. and can land on its feet. Now I've always worked this that if you fall 70 foot and cast Featherfall, it runs out after 60 foot, so the last 10 foot you do take damage. If you fall and say, I fall for 10 feet, I fall for 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, and then cast Featherfall, then that's within range. I don't know if anyone else does it like that. Roll with it. As an action, a character can make a DC 15 acrobatics check to try to roll with the spinning ship. If the check fails, no benefit is gained, the action is wasted. If it's successful, the character has advantage on the next same. NPCs on spin cycle. Okay, Petty Officer Winston Rebeck activates the magic tattoo on his arm that allows him to cast Featherfall once. The tattoo then vanishes, so he can do himself, Micken, Cricklit and Fred. They automatically are okay. If they're not with him, you find them unconscious but stable. They can each be fed one of the 10 potions of healing. Now look at these are so cool. We've got these 3 green new things I'd never heard of before, mantis people. And then we've got the plasmoids, which are humanoid-shaped oozes. Cricklit is quiet and brooding, prefers solitude over the company of her fellows. Her glossy chitin is mottled with patches of white and her eyes are bright, vivid green. Pefred, or red, or whatever. You'll be hard-pressed to find a more excellent whistler, that's cool, than this pale green plasmoid. His jaunty tunes can be heard on nearly every deck. He's also one of the few crew members who appreciates the cooking of Rebeck. So that is good, I like that. Wrapping up. Once the characters have disabled this washing machine trap, they can place the Spelljammer anywhere they want. A Spelljamming character can then attune to the crystal. If no character is going to attune, Micken Haverstance volunteers to serve as because he's spellcaster. Otherwise, he just keeps quiet and sticks with Rebeck. Part 2. So we're on the ship. We've had a bit of a trap and we've put the crystal in place. This encounter begins when the characters investigate strange sounds coming from the holodeck. The sounds begin after the ship is well underway and millions of miles from home. A character on the command deck who has a wisdom perception of 13 or higher hears the clank of metal on stone coming from the hatch in the middle of the floor of the deck. A character within 5 foot of the hatch can hear this automatically. Any character who passes through the hatch experiences mild vertigo, suggesting that the gravity is going through the very centre of the ship. The result of passing through the Tyrant Ship's gravity plane. That's just the confusing bit. Hollow deck Havoc. This deck is one large, bowl-shaped chamber containing several large piles of mechanical parts, with many more parts strewn across the floor. Several partially disassembled autonomes are among the wreckage, and picking them apart are 3 insectile creatures made of gleaming metal. This is where things get really meaty. 3 clockwork horrors are methodically salvaging pieces and parts from dead autonomes to construct a 4th clockwork horror, which is half assembled. Once these creatures notice the characters, say this, the insectile automatons menace you with rotating saws that extend from their forelimbs. They appear to speak to each other using clicking noises that seem oddly familiar. The clockwork horrors are speaking Thri-Kreen to one another, so Thri-Kreen characters understand what they say as they attack. The creatures mockingly praise the characters for bringing a Spelljammer crystal onto the Tyrant Ship so the horrors can take command of the vessel once all the characters are dead. Look at these bad boys. Okay, wonderful. Error, yeah. Look at these. Brilliant. Small construct, but look at their health. They actually have like 80 full health, I think. 80 full health and then 60. Questionable. Equals 80. I thought the average was always there. Anyway, I've been sidetracked. Look at these things. They are immune to lightning, immune to immune to poison. They cannot be blinded. They cannot be charmed, deafened, exhausted, frightened, paralysed, petrified or poisoned. They have dark vision, so they can see 120 feet. Remember, there's no light in these things. Okay. If targeted by Dispel Magic, the horror must succeed on a con save or fall unconscious for a minute. Unless you hit it again, then it wakes back up. Doesn't need to breathe, eat, drink or sleep. It makes... Remember there's 3 of these and a half. The horror makes 1 bite attack. Average of 6. Or it may... and 2 rotating saws. Average of 4. So that's 6, 4 and 4. That's 14 average-ish damage I would expect. Lightning Jolt, 2 of these would be 7 and 7. So both 14 average damage. If you really want to make things quick, and they're hitting all the time, that's you know that it's 14. Whichever attacks you're using, 14 damage. But you can roll the dice. I do like to roll the dice as well. Spelljamming Helm interface. The horror, one of which you can make do this if you want. 2 fighting, 1 going for the helm. It attaches itself to the crystal and it tunes instantly. If another character is already attuned, that creature's attunement ends and this one begins. The horror can operate the helm even though it isn't a spellcaster. The horror can detach as a bonus action and ends attunement. So these things can actually steer the ship itself and cause all manner of problems. Again, like the gravity, whoa, we're steering this thing, the washing machine doodah. If you wanted, because there's 3 different Clockwork Horrors, and you're thinking, I'm going to struggle with all these bite, bolt, lightning, jolt, rotating saw attacks, one of them, have it do 3 bites. One of them, have it do 3 rotating saws. One of them, have do 3 lightning jolts. Is that the rules? No. Is it easy for newbies? Yes. Okay, Auto Gnome Survivor. Once the horrors have been defeated, the characters search the wreckage and a DC 11 Wisdom Perception check. On a success, they find the body of this dude called Wispop. Wispop and 6 other Auto-Gnomes served as the crew for the Beholders. After the Beholders abandoned the ship, the Auto-Gnomes were attacked by the Clockwork Horrors. Wispop has his name etched and bolted onto a plaque on his chest. He has suffered vocal cord damage as well as other structural damage. He only has 6 hit points. He can't speak, but he does make occasional whirring, hissing, popping noises. Wispop stops making these strange noises and regains the ability to speak once all their hit points are restored. A character can try and repair Wispop with Tinker's Tools. It takes 10 minutes and you have to have a DC 15 Arcana. Once the parts are found, a character who is proficient with Tinker's Tools can use the parts to make repairs. At the end of each hour, he gains 1d6 hit points. I don't like that. I say they just fix him up and he can talk immediately or after half an hour or something. Wispop will dotingly follow friendly characters while trying to stay out of harm's way. He's cool. The NPCs in this adventure are really good. Lying next to Wispop is a small iron chest, latched but not locked, that contains 5 pearls, which are 100 GP each, and a case that contains a spell scroll of Rope Trick. What does Rope Trick do? You touch a length of one of the ropes that you have. One of the end of the ropes rises into the air and hangs perpendicular to the ground. At the end of the rope, an invisible entrance opens to an extra-dimensional space that lasts until the spell ends. Stop it. The extra-dimensional space can be reached by climbing to the top of the rope. It can hold as many as 8 medium or small creatures, and you can pull the rope back up, making it disappear from view. Attacks and spells can't cross into this space, so it's a safe zone. Anything inside the extra-dimensional space drops out when the spell ends, including the people. Part 3, Fire in the Galley. A fire has erupted on the cargo deck where Rebec has set up his galley, his cooking area. Smoke from the fire spreads from the cargo deck, but it doesn't go into the ship's gravity plane, so it can't be detected on other floors. Everything has settled into relative peace and quiet. Then, without warning, Micken climbs out of the access shaft you've been using to move between decks. His hair is dishevelled. His clothes reek of smoke. He's breathing hard from his climb and appears to be having difficulty speaking between laboured gasps of air. He's winded, he's fatigued, he's unharmed. He croaks out, "Fire! In the galley! Out of control! Must save others!" He's a little liar. Micken follows the characters as they head to the cargo deck to combat the fire, as does Wispop. Rules for smoke. It's thick with smoke. Right, any creature that needs to breathe, so not Wispop, makes a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, and whenever it starts its turn in the cargo deck, well, that's when it does it. The saving throw is made with advantage if the creature's nose and mouth are covered with damp cloth. If they say anything else, I'm doing this, no. If the saving throw is a failure, the creature gains a level of exhaustion, meaning anytime they try to make ability checks, try to do something, it's disadvantaged. Visibility. You can see for 10 feet, that's 2 squares in front of you. Everything else is heavily obscured. Blocks vision entirely. Thick black smoke, in other words. If you're trying to attack something 3 squares away, it's with a disadvantage. You might have a rough idea where they are, but it's a disadvantage attack. The chamber containing the galley is the source of the fire. So it's the cooking equipment. The fire spread... Oh yeah, it was started with 2 spell scrolls from Micken. He did a glyph of warding and a conjure minor elementals. Glyph of warding goes boom. Conjure minor elementals has conjured the little magma mephits. So, 2 spells. The fire spread with the help of 4 magma mephits. The GIF petty officer managed to kill one of the mephits before succumbing to fire damage. Succumbing. Dead. Down. Unconscious. And smoke inhalation. Oh, when the characters find the dead, absolutely dead, unsavable. Yeah, unsavable at this level. 3 magma mephits attack them. Due to their elemental nature, the mephits don't care about the smoke. They can clearly see to 20 feet, and creatures and objects beyond that range are lightly obscured. Dim light, patchy fog, moderate foliage. Creatures have disadvantage on perception checks that rely on sight. They can see better than we can. Running the NPCs. The NPCs, Creelit, Fred, get the fire under control by expending the group's water supply. Each of them has 3 levels of exhaustion, meaning they can only move half the speed, disadvantage on attacks, and disadvantage on attack rolls and saves. They're in a bad way. Normally, to get rid of a level of exhaustion, you need a long rest, which is 8 hours. Some healing things can knock off a level of exhaustion too. The smoke begins to clear once the fire is extinguished. You survey the damage without having to worry about smoke inhalation rolls. The potions of healing are here for this moment. The sending stone can easily be retrieved, as can the chest of rations. Depleted, and it looks like this. Cooking surface, 2 barrels of water. Oh, these were consumed by the fire. All this is gone. Nothing important then. Sifting through the ashes with a DC 13 intelligence investigation check, they can find out or not that the fire was started near the portable cooking surface. The characters ascertain the following if the check succeeds. Although the fire did originate there, the surface is incapable of having such a big explosion to cause that much mess, nor could it summon magma mephits. The fire was started by a magical spell, perhaps a spell cast on the cooking surface. The mephits were either summoned by a spell, or a same spell, or another spell. Questioning the NPCs. Cricklit and Fred, have no clue how the fire started. They remember hearing an explosion in the galley, followed by Rebec screaming in pain and barking orders at them. Cricklit and Fred did as they were told and opened the barrels of water while Officer Rybeck battled the Mephits. Micken denies knowledge of knowing what or who started the fire, but he is the only NPC who has any magical talent, making him the most likely suspect. Character can try and force out a confession with intimidation check 13. If the truth comes out, he explains that he was recruited by a Mercane, which is a thing, high arcane person, to set a trap for Rybeck. The Mercane gave Micken 2 spell scrolls to set the trap. Micken expected Rybeck would be hurt but not killed. Although he doesn't know the Mercane's name, Micken reveals that he was promised enough money to set him and his equally young fiancée up for life. Micken surrenders to the characters, throwing himself on their mercy. Kill him. Wrapping up, the characters have a few decisions to make. Do they press on or turn back? Of course they press on. What do they do with Micken? Kill him, obviously. What do they do with the body of Rybeck? Don't know. Send him out to space. Do they use the Sending Stone to call back and tell of the treachery and of the death? I don't know what I'd do. If the characters use the stones, Tato commands them to wait for backup. And if they do, Tato arrives later, boarding the flighty foundling that dropped you off and went back up to there. That is it. It doesn't say here that they level up. Does it say further down? All your statistics are here. Your realm space description, map, the ship that you're going to play inside. Yeah, there's a little note on here because these are like spires where the beholders came to rest, the sleeping areas or resting areas. Did you know that beholders only come into existence by dreaming other beholders? That's how they're born. They're created through dreams. And with beholders being obsessed about being killed, and they dream about rivals. Oh, what if this guy was made and he's out there looking for me? And that dream will make the nemesis a reality. No two beholders are the same. Always try and do something different. And that's it, isn't it? That is it. I hope that helped. I hope I can edit this down into a decent video. If you found anything useful here, please subscribe. Help me out. I'm a newbie at this DM channel. Hey, thanks for watching. Keep rolling 20s.